We've met so many people who have decided to hit the road. Unfortunately, those same people are struggling getting speeds like this. Let's see what we got. When they really could be getting speeds like this. Much better. And let's see, this one is right around 30, climbing up there to the 40.
Dude, that is a lot of towers.
Hey, what's up? Nick here on the Wide Open Wi-Fi Tour. That's what we decided to call it. Two reasons. One is that we want internet when we're in these wide open spaces, but at the same time, we want it cranked up to 10. We want it wide open as fast as we possibly could have it. So I like the dual meaning of it, right? We created this Wi-Fi tour so we could get out and test our very own mobile internet device. We're calling it the Insty Connect. And we decided to hit the road and go to sunny Arizona because it's the only state that I know that has mountains, deserts, forests, snow, and warm all within like a few hours of each other. And I thought I would shoot this very first video and explain why we created our device to look like this. We want to battle something that many people are struggling with, which is congestion. Quartzsite goes from a couple thousand people to many thousand people in the winter, and we're way out in the desert, and there's a limited amount of bandwidth that's available to us right here. Before we do that, we got to explain how the towers work and how they speak to an antenna design like this, and what steps that you can take right now to get out of that congestion land to move into the express lane and start getting faster speeds right away. So we're going to talk about two ways a tower can be congested, okay? One way we have no control over, and that is if we have a tower, and that tower has its internet line or its backbone right here, like its uplink. Let's say we have thousands upon thousands of people connecting to that one tower, and they're essentially using up the entire uplink that that tower has. But I've only seen this a few times. One of the notable times that I've seen this is right after the eclipse happened. That's because the cell phone companies never planned for an eclipse like that. And if you notice that map that they showed where all of the roads and things were congested, they had tons of people in places where they normally weren't. And so the cell phone companies just never planned for that. The good news is that a lot of times we don't see this type of congestion even in Florida or Quartzsite because the cell phone companies have been doing a good job. Now what we do see are people swamping specific bands within the towers. So in order to explain that, I have to tell you a little bit about how a tower works, all right? So we have our tower right here, and for simplicity's sake, we're going to say a tower sends out two types of frequency, a low frequency, we're going to say low, and then they also send out some high frequency bands as well. High. Now I know it's a little backwards that the low ones are larger than the high ones, but I want you to think about it like this. Think about a low frequency as a pickup truck, okay? A nice 4x4 pickup truck that can do some off-roading. It gets to a gravel road, no problem. Gets to the end of the road, no problem. It can go off into the woods, go into the mountains, doesn't really matter. Those frequencies can really get around, okay? Think of the high frequency ones as like a race car, okay? That's my race car right there. Super fast, but they won't go off-road. Whenever it runs into an obstacle, it just stops. When it's on the road and you're in that race car, you got a fast speed, all right? Now the problem comes in where we have a majority of the people that are reaching one band, but they cannot reach another band. Now the best way to explain this is if I tell you a little bit about Custer State Park. We were there this summer. We parked our camper down by a little creek. There was a mountain and everything. It was just an amazing campsite, right? But the problem was, when I pulled my phone out, I had absolutely no internet down here in the bottom. And I said, no problem, I'll just walk up the mountain and see if I can do my work on the top of the mountain. So I decided to walk on up, and then I got about halfway there, and I pulled out my phone, and lo and behold, I had 3 bars of LTE signal, and I thought, oh great, so I pulled out my speed test, ran a speed test, and I got absolutely no internet whatsoever. And I was like, a little bit bummed, but I said, no, that's all right, I'll go up to the top. So I marched all the way up to the top, did the same thing. This time I had maybe 3, maybe 4 bars of signal, but when I pulled up a speed test, this time I got 30 megabits. I was pretty excited. Long story short, I found a tree up there, put a device on that tree, beamed internet all the way down to my camper. We had internet while we were there, had a great time. It was an amazing spot. Now, the important part of this is that when I was halfway up the mountain, I was reaching Verizon band 13. And if you take a look at this map right here, I overlaid this map with a graphic of where band 13 can be picked up around this area in Custer State Park. Now, this is where I was right here. And if I back out of this picture a little bit, you can see that this band can actually flow between the mountains pretty well. And the reason why I was picking it up is because there was a tower way, way off into the distance, and it was sending those large truck type beams, and it was actually bouncing off of a mountain way over here, boom, 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 and it was hitting me on that side. I was getting a decent signal, but the problem is, if you look at this map right here, this actually fills in a great amount of this area in Custer State Park. But anybody that was in this area, their cell phone would automatically lock onto that band. I've overlaid this picture with what is band 4. Band 4 is the one I was able to pick up while I was on top of the mountain. This is a higher frequency band that just will not go through trees. It's the race car band, right? So when I was at the top here, I was reaching band number 4 for Verizon, and I was able to get a good speed. The difference between band 13 and band 4 is pretty significant. You can see why most people would be able to pick up band 13 and why a small percentage of people would be able to pick up band 4. So essentially the gist of it is the higher frequency bands are harder to pick up, but when you can pick them up, you get better speed and you get more bandwidth available to you. What does that mean? What is bandwidth available to you? All right, so remember I was talking about a truck? I want you to picture a truck that's essentially this big. All right, and it can handle, I don't know, let's just say that many people, okay? Now, I want to throw a little curveball at you and say if your truck is that big, this race car is actually this big. My race car looks kind of funny, but notice the size. It can handle many more people. You can put a whole bunch of people in that race car, and you guys will all be going fast down the road, all right? So that is kind of the Achilles heel of the LTE system. While we have band 13 for Verizon and AT&T has similar low frequency bands, it can go out there, it can go through trees and bounce around mountains. A lot of people can pick it up, but it has a limited amount of bandwidth to it. But a higher frequency band like band 4, 2, and 5, they have much more bandwidth available, can accept many more people inside the car, and when you're all in there, you're traveling fast and you're liking it, right? This all goes back to how LTE towers started. When Verizon first got out there, they put out band 13 essentially right away. As it started to become more and more congested, they did a good job by adding more bands, 4, 2, 5. Now they have bands like 66, which is a subset of a couple of the other bands, which we're not going to get into all of that here in this video. But essentially, just know that like you have your low frequency band, and in order for them to get more bandwidth, they had to go to the higher frequencies, which these ones are down here. All right, so you're probably thinking, all right, Nick, how does this relate to RVers, campers, people on the road? All right, so just the other day, I saw a Facebook post in one of my groups of somebody who was going to TTO, Thousand Trails of Orlando, and they were like, how can I get a decent cell signal when I'm at TTO? All right, so let me explain it like this. We have our tower over here. We have our two frequencies. We got the low frequency, the truck frequency, and then we got the high frequency ones as well. Most people that hit the road, especially first timers, they get one of these little MiFi devices and they place it inside their camper, usually in a cabinet somewhere, and they turn it on, and they're pretty excited because they get, you know, a pretty decent signal, especially when they're in somewhere like Orlando. But the problem comes from the sheer amount of people who are doing it the exact same way, right? So we got all these campers who have their MiFi devices, and we got these signals that are coming, and we got the low frequency signals that will go right into a camper pretty decently and reach your MiFi device. Camper here that's locking onto band 13, all right? So we got someone over here doing this pretty much the same way, locking onto 13. Before we know it, the majority of the people inside Orlando have their devices and they're locking on to the band that they can pick up the best, which is band 13, the low frequency, the truck band, because it can blast through your metal camper, your fiberglass camper, without too much trouble, all right? Now the problem comes when you have thousands upon thousands of people who descend on Orlando every single winter, and then most of those people want to camp on band 13, and you have a few of these people out here who do internet a little bit differently, like the way I explained it in my video a couple years back where I talk about having a Mophie inside my camper and running a couple very large wires to the top so that I could have an antenna on the top, what makes it a lot easier for the high frequency bands to reach the antenna. So my Mophie device is able to connect to band 4, to band 5, to band 2, and so on. I can tell you that I've been to Thousand Trails of Orlando more than a few times, and I've never really had a problem with congestion. So the problem really isn't that the tower itself is congested. The problem is that one of the bands is serving most people. Band number 13. These higher frequency bands, they're pretty much left open. And remember, they are actually the ones that have more bandwidth available. They can handle more people, but the problem is that the people actually can't talk to those bands correctly. They can't get a good usable signal, so they all camp on this one right here, essentially saturate it and make the internet not as good. All right, so you're probably thinking, all right, dude, I think I understand what you're saying. What can I do to take care of this? All right, so the first thing that you need to do is make sure you're not using super old hardware. Make sure you have something that's newer, okay? The reason being is because, remember, the towers, they all started with band 13 and then they added additionals, 4, 5, 2, and so on. If you have equipment that's somewhat older, it might only work with the old bands. You might actually be stuck. Your hardware can't even see these additional bands. So if you have something older, you'll want to get something that can latch on to those higher frequency bands. And sometimes it's really hard to know whether or not your device will pick up those higher frequency bands. I would say if it's older than 2 or 3 years, I would say it's probably time to look at upgrading your LTE modem, all right? So that's the first one, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. The second thing is to make sure you do the best with what you can control, and that is your signal, okay? The single most important thing that you can do to make sure you have a really good internet experience is have the best signal at all times. So when we're talking about your camper, don't put your MiFi device in the middle of your camper inside a cabinet somewhere. Try to figure out a spot where it can get the best signal possible. Try to find a window and put it near the window, maybe even put it on the window, and then run speed tests when you're there. You might even want to try to change what window it's on just in case the tower is facing that direction of your camper. Next best thing to that is to have a modem that actually has antennas that go up to the top. You'll see a lot of YouTubers talk about certain modems that they'll have like a little bubble up here and they ran antenna wires down to their router like this. And while these systems will work pretty well, there's a reason why we don't do that with our Insty Connect system. And the reason is that this wire right here actually introduces some loss when you run into those higher frequency bands, like all of these bands right here. The little dome is able to pick them up, but what happens is by the time it reaches the modem, it could lose half or even 75% of the signal because of the wire size that are being used. If you've ever seen my Mophie video, you'll notice that I put in some giant wires from the Mophie to the antenna on the top of my camper. Actually had to cut a pretty big hole in my roof, and a lot of people were like, dude, are you serious? You cut a 6-inch hole in your roof? And I had to do that in order to pass these large wires without kinking them, because a kink would introduce more loss as well. But there's a reason why I chose those wires, because those are the ones had the least amount of loss, and they could pick up these higher frequency bands easier. Now what we do with the Insty Connect, we actually created a modular type of internet system where we have a router inside the camper, and we actually pass a data cable up where we have the modem on top, and they have very, very small wires so that we have virtually no loss through these antenna connectors. We designed these antennas at a 45-degree angle so they can best pick up these high frequency bands, and our tests so far have been super amazing. We're really excited for that as well. So, all right, so let's recap real quick. If you have some older equipment, it might be time to upgrade. And if you're interested in what we're doing here with the Insty Connect system, I'd encourage you to head over to instykonnect.com, I-N-S-T-Y connect.com, and you'll see over there a spot for your name and email. Punch in your name and email address right there, and I'll get some information to you. I'll let you know how our testing is going. We'll communicate over email, so you can essentially get on the list for when we start shipping these things out. We have a batch of these getting ready to go out really soon. Our testing went super well. We're going to have some really neat stuff on there, like Insty Express Lane technology. You can actually select different towers all around you to see which one will perform the best. I'm super excited to start getting these out there and getting these into the hands of people, because I think they'll make a huge difference. And the second part is to make sure you do the best with what you have control over, and that is your signal. Try placing your MiFi device near a window, and if you have one that has external antennas, make sure they're getting up to the roof. Make sure they're getting on the top of the roof. And if you happen to have a setup like this, I would encourage you to make sure you check out the video that we're going to do next. We're going to talk all about these wires right here, why we decided to go with a data cable on our system, and how these wires can affect your signal that comes in by as much as 75%, which could make a huge difference when you're on the fringe areas of a tower, especially with those higher frequency bands. We're also going to be talking about boosters and wires that run in. What is a booster doing? Our booster's making sure that you never actually even see the high frequency bands on LTE. These are some huge things that we're going to be talking talking about in the next video. So I encourage you, if you're brand new here, be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions on the stuff that we talked about tonight, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Love to be able to interact with you. If you're looking to get some new equipment and are excited for what we're doing here with Insty Connect, head over to instyconnect.com, put in your name and email, and get on the list, and we can start talking right away. We'll do some behind the scenes wide open Wi-Fi tour stuff, and I'll share with you all about our different experiences with the different providers like Visible, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. We're doing a lot of cool things. Since our system is going to be a modular one, we're going to be testing the new 5G modules coming out here very, very shortly. So if 5G is something that you've been interested in, be sure to head over to instyconnect.com, put in your email address there. We're going to talk all about 5G as well. We're also going to talk about Starlink and how Insty Connect's going to work with Starlink as well. It's going to be amazing. Also, if you wouldn't mind, check that thumbs up for me if you enjoyed the information here. If this is something that you didn't like or whatever, feel free to hit the thumbs down, but please drop me a comment what you didn't like about it. I'd love to be able to speak with you. If you got the green light to join the remote workforce, drop me a comment below. Where are you heading to? What kind of rig are you getting? What have you tried for internet? And what have you reached success with? Love to be able to hear your story. And it's cool to be able to integrate those stories that I hear. Pretty much everybody we meet on the road is very interested in how to get a really, really good internet signal. Except for this one guy who just totally retired, and he's like, dude, I think what you're doing is great, but I'm glad I don't need it. So I'm glad for him to, he's going to be able to explore without even needing to worry about internet. But the rest of us need to be connected with the world, and I'd love to be able to help you do that. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up. This is supposed to be that share button right there. If you wouldn't mind, share this with somebody who is interested in mobile internet, and shoot this video to them. Let them know about Insty Connect and how we are super excited to help people get the best signal out on the road that they possibly can. Be sure to tune in next time when we talk about wires, boosters, and how they are helping and not helping some of the people that we're running into on the Wide Open Wi-Fi Tour. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Anyway, if you guys want good Wi-Fi, check out Insty Connect on the link below.